Okay, we're good.
All right, we're live. Hey guys, how's it going? So I'm streaming today on my YouTube channel, and I'd like to introduce you guys to my friend Katherine Henry. And we're here talking about Restore Freedom Michigan, right?
Restore Freedom Initiative.
Restore Freedom Initiative. And to Catherine's people, I'm 2AEDU, and I run a YouTube channel. So anyways, we're here in Flint, Michigan, and it's a beautiful day out here. And what are we doing today, Katherine?
Hello, you guys know who I am, but for you guys there on YouTube, I am attorney Katherine Henry, and I am the founder of the Restore Freedom Initiative, which is a constitutional amendment proposal that we are trying to get on the November 3rd ballot 2020 so that we can stop all the government overreach and rein in all the government officials, because this is a government by the people. So it's bipartisan. This is not Republican or Democrat. In fact, I have equally ticked off the establishment Democrats and the establishment Republicans, which I take as a win.
And I've been talking to people a lot about how much we need to get involved on all local levels, because often what I find is we end up with this ugly coin, and it's both sides of it. There's like an establishment Republican, establishment Democrat, and at the end they just have slightly different flavors of the same tyranny where they're trying to take our rights. And a lot of people don't think there's a lot of difference between the two, and they might actually be right in a lot of cases.
In a lot of ways, yes.
Yeah, so basically, for those of you that lived in Michigan, and even people throughout the country have gone through this, you know, there were things going on in Michigan, like you couldn't buy paint, you couldn't cut your own lawn. Most of us reasonable people think that's a little restrictive. What do you think?
Yeah, so when I first started out working on this, I was pointing out some of those things, how we couldn't buy, you couldn't buy seeds for your garden, you couldn't buy paint, you couldn't buy home improvement supplies, you could buy weed, you could buy lottery tickets, you could buy alcohol, you could have an abortion, but you couldn't have a hip replacement. So I was pointing out a lot of those inconsistencies and how those things were violating various things from the due process clause to the contract clause. But when it comes down to it, the more and more I research the actual words of our U.S. and Michigan Constitution, the more I realize none of it is legal at all or constitutional at all. The governor, the legislature, no one has the authority to tell us we all have to stay home, we can't run our businesses, we can't have our kids in school that we pay for with our tax dollars, that we have to wear masks in public or any of that stuff. None of it is constitutional. So basically they should have listened to me at the beginning, because the fight would have been much smaller for them, but now we're taking it all on because it's all wrong, and it's got to change now.
So for normal people like me, I thought this was all really weird. Like, this is America, they can't do it. And for all of you out there who thought it was weird, it's because it was, and this isn't America that we've had to live under in the last few months, right? So here's the thing though, it seems to me that this didn't really feel like the normal process where our elected people get together and make a law, and then, because I was in Lansing there at the end of April, and I saw the legislators vote not to extend her.
They actually didn't vote on it at all.
They failed to vote to extend.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yep, but that has the same effect of saying we're going to vote to not extend, because the law was very clear that in order for the state of emergency to continue past the 28 days that our state law requires, that she would have had to get legislative approval by both the House and the Senate, which they chose not to do. But you're right. This is, our governor is treating these executive orders as laws. So the governor has the power under our state constitution to issue executive orders as long as they are basically just ways to reorganize her own executive branch. And so even in doing so, she has to go under Article 5, Section 2 of our state constitution. She actually still has to present those to the legislature. And they have, it's either 60 or 90 days, I can't remember off the top of my head, but they have that 60 or 90 day time limit to decide whether they're going to allow that change to go through or whether they're going to vote to turn it down.
Right.
And so she doesn't even have sole authority over that. What the emergency powers are meant to do, what the executive orders under those emergency powers are meant to do, is to allow her to speed up or push fast forward on that process of reorganizing her own executive branch, so that she can get resources and people from the executive branch and from the state of Michigan into affected areas to be able to help them as quickly as possible. However, she's gone above and beyond that, and instead thinks that this is also her right to be able to control every aspect of our lives, from how we, celebrate births or deaths or, sicknesses, how we, whether we get together with family or friends, whether we, play basketball at the YMCA, go to church, go to work, how we travel, all of that is something that she's trying to regulate, and that is actually, those kinds of functions are actually what is, it's taking the form and the shape of law. And so it's funny because she is saying to millions of people all across Michigan in her press conferences that these are law. In fact, the Attorney General came out and said, you have to wear a mask in Michigan. I think she was talking about Trump when she said it the last time I heard her.
Yeah, she did.
It's the law to wear a mask in Michigan. Funny thing is, I'm going to find those clips. It's going to be great because I'm going to put the link to those video clips right in my brief to the Michigan Supreme Court, because the funny thing is with this, now those same attorneys for the governor are arguing that there's not an issue where there's a separation of powers violation because it's not a law. These executive orders are not law. So they're trying to argue both sides to that coin. And we clearly know that this is taking the shape and form of lawmaking because she's making it a misdemeanor to not follow these executive orders. And she's saying they have a full force and effective law. Not only that, they added the $1,000 civil infraction for not following the rules. And they're obviously sicking the Attorney General and DHS and all these other agencies against people to take away their business licenses as well. So
don't bring her in.
So we have the barber in Michigan and so many other people, just landscapers like myself that had to watch the grass grow knee-high because cutting grass violated. And what it feels like to me and a lot of regular people is these don't really feel like something coming from a governor. They almost feel like edicts coming from, like, I hate to say it, an empress or something like that in some other country.
a dictator.
A dictator, and they don't feel American. So, the old people watch Schoolhouse Rock and stuff, and normally how a bill becomes a law, right? Well, here's the problem. It doesn't seem like anybody in the legislative body wants to do anything right now to really get a law fast-tracked through to straighten all this out. So what's the other option to get a law or a constitutional amendment in this case on the books?
So the interesting thing about the legislature is actually they did attempt to pass some laws very quickly. In fact, they passed Senate Bill 858 as amended on April 30th. The problem with that is, the governor vetoed it, so it didn't become law, but the problem with that is they were trying to make into actual law some of the very restrictions that the governor was trying to impose on us in 29 of her then current executive orders. So
I noticed that.
The legislature seems to think they too have the power to dismiss our constitutional rights because there's been a state of emergency declared. So that's the important thing, is that the government gets no more rights and the people have no less liberties during a state of emergency or time of war or famine or anything else like that. So here, what we're trying to do is, it's not a recall of the governor. That is happening on somebody else's petition.
We'll talk about that soon, by the way, guys. I'll talk about that in some other video.
It's not a repeal of the 1945 Emergency Management Act, which, 1945 Emergency Powers of Governor Act. It's not that. That's happening also later this month, I believe. But this is instead changing the actual language of our state constitution. The Constitution, of course, being the supreme law of the land. So any laws or executive orders or anything that contradict the state constitution or the U.S. Constitution, they're null and void. They don't mean anything.
Yes.
And so because so many of our government officials have forgotten that aspect, and they are, whether they're in the legislature, whether they're in the governor's, the executive branch, whether they're judges that are in our judicial branch, so many of them are forgetting that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and they're trying to enforce these illegal and unconstitutional executive orders. So by changing the Constitution, some of the key things that we are doing is to clarify. That's the thing the word I use the most in describing this, because we are clarifying what our rights are under the U.S. and Michigan Constitutions, and we are stripping away all the extra crud that has allowed us to get to this point so far.
We call these politicians, basically, when she says crud. most politicians, right?
Yeah, even the ones I considered good guys for the last several years seem to be fighting the wrong side of this fight these days.
Yeah, so here's how I kind of look at it, and tell me if I'm right or wrong on this. It becomes a time where when you really need the government to protect you the most, they don't, and they fail you, and they, in fact, in my opinion, intrude on your life and make it where, in this case, probably for many people, the cure was worse than the actual disease, both mentally, physically, and things like that. So when you don't generally trust the government and they're not serving you, a lot of people I don't think realize this, but there is a way for us to actually get constitutional amendments right from the grassroots, from the people. Is that what you're doing here?
Absolutely. So what our Constitution, Article 12, Article 11, one of those two, I think it's Article 12, Section 2 of our state constitution, specifically allows us, the people, to draft and circulate and gain signatures for a constitutional amendment to put it on the November ballot. So I am an attorney, but I'm not a government official. I'm not special in that regard that I have, more power than the next person. So I drafted this constitutional amendment, had a group of people looking at it, attorneys and non-attorneys, and we figured out what the best ways would be to resolve this in a way that the governor, the legislature, all of them are put back in check and the power is properly restored to the people. So once that language was all said and done, we filed the petition with the Secretary of State's office, so it's available right on their website. Yep. In fact, speaking of websites, our website is restorefreedommi.com, and there's a link right on our website to the final language of the petition, but also to our petition as it's posted on the Secretary of State website, so people can see that it is in fact filed there. So at that point, we just have to get 425,059 signatures in order to get it turned in by July 6th is the last absolute deadline, so that we are being put, this will be put on to the November 3rd general election ballot. And it's not a constitutional convention, it's not a general revision that opens up the whole constitution for a bunch of stuff.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, so this is just an amendment where literally the Constitution requires the question to read yes or no. So it's going to be to you as the voter on November 3rd here in Michigan. Do you want to, vote to amend our state constitution in this particular manner, yes or no? So that's just an important point that I want people to make sure they're aware of.
Yes, and I'm just reading here real quick to see some questions. We have Port Hurons on board. Good. So you guys have basically just a couple days. Anybody who's interested in this, go to restorefreedommi.com, and there you're going to be able to find, like, I would guess, 1,000 places in the state of Michigan, it seems like, where they can go and find these petitions to sign?
So we have well over 500 stationary signing locations, like businesses and homes where people can go basically any day of the week to sign. However, we have hundreds of signing events and rallies and different things like what we're at here today.
Yes.
I myself am here in Flint today, then I'm going down to Freeport. Yesterday I was in Rothbury at the Double J campground and resort. I went up to Traverse City last night. Tomorrow I will be, what's today, Sunday? Tomorrow is Monday. I'm in Jackson, I believe, tomorrow. Grand Rapids on Wednesday. I was in Detroit on Friday. I mean, we are literally, I've been in the UP, I've been in Calumet, doing these rallies. We're literally, our team is going all across the state. So obviously I can't be in all those places at once because our state's too big. If it were Rhode Island, it'd be a lot easier, but we're Michigan. So, but we do have people, we have literally thousands of volunteers. I do believe we're well over 2,000 volunteers at this point who are literally all across the state doing signing events and locations. Yep. And so if you go to restorefreedommi.com, you can click on the Where to Sign tab, and it'll list those stationary, businesses and whatnot that you could just go in during business hours. But it'll also list the Events tab, which is those specific or special times and events to sign. So also on that website, though, like I said, you can see the whole language of the petition. Yep. We have some summaries available on there. There's a frequently asked questions section, which has been able to help people sort through what all the details are. No matter what, though, make sure that you, as a voter, are not thinking that you just can't understand it all, that it's too far over your head, that government or laws, it's all just something that's too far distant from you. That is what they have conditioned us to believe all these years. And as an attorney, I can tell you that it is our duty as citizens to hold the government accountable and to know what our rights are. So, at any rate, right on the website too, I have a link to the current state constitution and the U.S. Constitution, so people can see that. And you said something else that I was going to say, but oh yeah, so the time period,
Yep.
We do want the majority of our signatures turned in by 2 days from now. That'll give us enough time to, comfortably go through all the signatures to validate them for purposes of making sure the Secretary of State is not going to find one that's a bad, somebody that's not actually registered or something like that. However, this is 4th of July week. It is my it is my birthday on Friday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. And we do have the 4th of July festivities. So we know that I've had hundreds of people reaching out to me in the last 48 hours alone saying that they have not yet been able to make it to one of our signing locations because of something in their own lives.
Yeah.
And they're starting to have some time off this week. So we are extending the deadline. Again, we want most of them back by Tuesday, but if you have a big event or something, where you can get just a few more signatures,
yeah.
As long as you guys are going to work with us to make sure that we're going to get those petitions by, like midnight or, 11:30 at night on July 4th or something, that's fine. We'll make it happen. I'll stay up 36 hours straight if I need to, or 48 hours straight to go through those petitions and have them turned in. But Monday morning, July 6th, they are being turned in. So we have to drive all the way to Lansing to do that.
And I can vouch for that, guys. Literally at about 11:30 p.m. last night was Catherine and I's last text message between each other. And at that point, we had just seen the exact time and place of this event. So I'm not doing much, guys. But I expect you guys to at least do what I'm doing, okay? Basically, go on restorefreedommi.com, find one of these places, sign the dang petition. Because here's the deal, by you signing it right now, you're not making any constitutional amendment. All you're doing is giving it a chance. And you'll have the next several months to decide if you want to actually vote for it or not. So I don't think it's hard to understand, but you're going to have time to digest all that. I think that's important for people to know. We just want to give it a chance. And I like what Catherine said. It's not only that it's our right to petition the government, it's not only our right to make laws if we need to, amendments to the Constitution, but it's our duty. Because as I've been saying, and I want to keep reminding you guys of this, as Reagan said, losing our freedom and liberty is only one generation away. We're not just born with this. It doesn't pass down in our DNA. So if we just stop and sit back and let the government keep getting more powerful, that's what they're gonna do, and indeed they have. So it's basically my challenge to everyone. Get out there, sign the dang petition. It takes 30 seconds. I guarantee you, even if you're up in Calumet, that's way
up there, yeah.
So far up here, you're closer to other countries, right? So just go find a petition, sign it. I'm a circulator of the petition myself. I know right near my shop in New Hudson, you can go to Huron Valley Guns. There's been somebody sitting there almost every minute of business hours, right?
I do believe it's every time.
7 days a week, 8 to 5.
7 days a week, 8 to 5.
Well,
so,
Sundays I think their hours are shorter. But
4 o'clock though, even on Sundays. Because I was just there at 4 o'clock. And look, she's spending her birthday doing this. I'd like to be on a lawnmower right now, but I'd rather be doing this. So I know you guys have other stuff you want to do, but do you remember what it was like to sit in your house and you couldn't even paint your little girl's bedroom? Do you know what it's like right now? And I know this isn't what we've been talking about, but there's actually something in our Constitution that defines the tax rate, and it's over that now. So the government, they've been overreaching all kinds of things. Just, it's an emergency, right? They say. And in my opinion, we need to have more liberty and freedom during an emergency.
Absolutely.
And instead they're doing just the opposite. So I'm just going to take a real quick peek here and see if there's anybody out here that has any quick questions for us, because Catherine's probably going to go to a couple more cities today, if I had to guess.
Mm-hmm.
This lady's not stopping, guys. And you want to know what's crazy? Is I was talking to my friend Mike Detmer, who's a candidate for United States Congress. And we were talking about recall Whitmer, and he said, you need to get hold of this lady named Katherine Henry, because she has a petition that's really worth getting behind. So then I'm at the rally in Lansing, and I'm talking to Chief Bucala, as you guys know, and his lawyer comes up. Well, I talked to her and do the video, don't even realize it's the same person. So she's just a rock star, period, guys. She's doing a lot, and it's the least you guys can do to do it. And they're saying a lot of this, just do it. Port Huron on board. Patriots, both of you.
So while he's looking for some questions, I will let you know that all of this, none of it's funded by the Republican Party, the Democrat Party. We don't have any big financial backers. We literally have an entirely grassroots organization. So we have been funding the printing of the petition sheets and whatnot by mere donations, and I'm not getting paid obviously for any of this work, and so any bills that I'm able to pay at home and buy groceries and whatnot have all been by donation as well. So to the extent that any of you would like to help us continue those efforts, we do have two different totally separate donation opportunities. One is the one that's online for Square, essentially goes into my business account since I'm not taking new paid clients, and the other one that's through PayPal. That link is just for printing of the petitions. It will, once we get the petitions all turned in, it'll turn into advertising efforts. We're going to have to go all around the state. We won't be as hurried because it'll be a much longer time frame. We'll have 4 months, but we're going to be traveling all around the state to make sure that people know about what we're doing, and I'll be able to answer questions for people, and we'll be able to print flyers and hopefully do some commercials. So that's what those funds will be doing at that point forward. So please, by all means, if you can donate $5, $10, $100, $1,000, $10,000, whatever. There's no limits to donating to a ballot question committee. For those of you who might be a little bit used to the campaign finance regulations in Michigan, you can donate an unlimited amount. In fact, a business, an organization can also donate to a ballot question committee, unlike a lot of the other restrictions for other kinds of committees. So we would appreciate that. But even if you're just signing, we appreciate that too. Every little bit helps. Every signature matters. So.
Yeah, and by the way, this isn't anything endorsed by any party, like she said. I just threw out that I was talking to my friend Mike Detmer, because he's my friend, and I shout out my friends on here, so that's all that was, guys. So they're basically, a couple people were asking, there's a really big glare right here, guys. They're basically saying that although these are only executive orders, they basically become law if nobody stops it. Is that what it seems like to you?
Okay, so that's a very good point, that our government constitutionally does not have any more rights over us during an emergency than what the government was given in the Constitution in the first place. But what we have is this de facto power, if you will, that the people all around the country, quite frankly, but especially in Michigan, the people are just going along and just following it and taking it hook, line, and sinker. Oh, the legislature can make laws to do this and that. Oh, the governor can require us to wear masks and shut down our businesses. Oh, you know, it's okay for a judge to say that you can cherry pick the laws and the governor can follow the 1945 Act but not the 1976 Act. No, people, no. That's the only reason why any of those branches of government have any of this power in the first place is because it's not constitutional. It's because it's de facto. It's just because the way that we have let them just continue to do it, then they're just going to keep doing it. When we stop them, when we hold them accountable, that's when we see change. That's when we see our constitutional freedoms restored. Hence the Restore Freedom Initiative.
Yeah, and that's why this is about restoring freedom. No, I mean, we might say this to each other. We might say, we don't like Gretchen, or screw Gretchen, or get out of Michigan, Gretchen. That's fine, but to me, this is about way more than that, because they've been overreaching. If this amendment goes through, to me, that stops a lot of their momentum and lets them know that they can't just get on TV and just talk off the cuff and have, like, I hate to say it, it feels like millions of lemmings just walking behind them in line and putting on their mask and doing everything they do, you know?
Yeah, but this is it's definitely not a partisan issue, because the Republican leadership in our state has, the only thing they're really advocating for in the lawsuit that they have against the governor right now is that the governor's actions are unconstitutional because it's infringing upon their rights as the legislature to make laws to control us. So I have actually filed one of my other hats. I filed a brief in the Michigan Supreme Court at the beginning of this month. I was the only non-party attorney to be allowed to have an amicus brief filed and accepted by the Michigan Supreme Court in that case. And I have since filed another brief in the Court of Appeals, since the Supreme Court kicked the whole case back down to the Court of Appeals. But my argument is that the legislature's argument only goes so far. Yes, the governor is overstepping her bounds and she is, violating that separation of powers clause, but that's just the beginning. What really matters is that all 10 million people, or nearly 10 million people in our state, have had their civil liberties crushed by this, and it's not a matter of allowing the legislature to step in and make those laws. Republican or Democrat, it doesn't matter. They don't have the right to do that. So I do actually have my brief, both of those briefs I just mentioned, posted right on the front page of the RestoreFreedomMI.com website.
Nice. Go there, guys.
Yeah, please check it out. Whether you think you're for it or against it, at least read those briefs and see what, in the Court of Appeals brief especially, I cited the majority of our Michigan Supreme Court justices and what they had to say about our constitutional liberties and how important this case is. So check it out, see where we're at, and make sure you're staying informed.
So basically, seems like to this in conclusion, guys, I believe that all of our rights are endowed by our Creator. In my case, God, or whoever created you, right? And that we have all of the power, and we only delegate what we feel is necessary to the government. But in this case, it seems like we have the executive branch and legislative branch suing each other over who can get more power over us between the two of them. And that's where a ballot initiative comes into play. This is kind of like when they say, like, you know, Ronald Reagan in the 80s, he looked like he was down in the polls. Maybe his first debate wasn't that good. And then he went over all of the politicians' heads and he went straight to the American people. And that's what this is. This is how you can change things. We're going over Whitmer or any other governor's head. We're going over the legislators, your Michigan House of Representatives, your senators. We're just simply going over their head and trying to get over 400,000 people to get together, get this on the ballot, and we can actually create something more powerful than law and amend the Constitution, right?
Yep, absolutely. And this is going to be, it's going to be successful because over a week ago already, when we hadn't even officially started collecting, we just had stuff trickling in, we already had people, we have thousands of signatures from across the state in 80 out of the 83 counties already. And by now, we've actually had a whole bunch more come in, stacks and stacks of petitions. So there's a potential that we already have signatures from all 83 out of the 83 counties here in Michigan. So
that's awesome.
Everybody's getting involved, but that doesn't mean that your vote or your signature on it is not important, because what I would hate to have happen is have us turn in 425,058 signatures that are good when we need 425,059, right?
This has happened before. Sometimes these things come up, a dozen votes short. This has happened, or signatures in this case. And there's people literally signing right behind us here all day today, all over the place. Just get in the car. It's probably not going to be more than a 5-10 minute drive from all the locations I've seen. But get your friend in there, get your wife, your husband, whatever, and just get them out and do it, guys. You have months to decide if you want to. And I know I've seen another one of your videos, by the way. Catherine's always encouraged people, read every word on it before you sign anything. Read it, inform yourselves. But you're just trying to get it on the ballot, and you can sign to get it on the ballot right now and totally change your mind if you want, right?
I actually signed in 2018, we had a Voters Not Politicians initiative to change how we do redistricting here in Michigan. And I signed to put it on the ballot, but then in those next 4 months, I was looking at things and I said, you know what, this is a terrible idea. Yep. And I voted against it and I advocated against it. But so yeah, signing your name to the petition does not mean that you are glued to voting for it or supporting it. So
exactly, and I support this cause, guys. I support Katherine. She's doing a lot more than I am, but I appreciate what you're doing. I think a lot of us in Michigan thank you. And I think even people across America should be looking at this. And they can go to, I think actually, to be honest, because Michigan, we have to take care of our own state, but I care about the whole United States, don't you?
Oh, once we accomplish it here, we're going nationwide, absolutely. State by state, we're going to help everyone restore their freedom to the way that the U.S. Constitution guaranteed it in the first place.
So all of you out there, you New Yorkers, even places like Kentucky, formerly free states, you guys have been under oppression too. Look at what's going on. Look at what Katherine and all these good people in Michigan are doing, and get ready, because we're going to try to take our whole country back. So.
And one last note, I guess I would ask each and every one of you is, you might be someone thinking, well, there's, basically a week left, I don't know very many people, or I'm not one to ever get involved in politics, or it's too late to help. Honestly, aside from your own signature, you could commit to one petition sheet. That's 9 signatures. Yep. It wouldn't be that hard to ask one neighbor, one friend, one cousin, your adult children or your parents, a coworker, somebody from your church. Honestly, in no time, you would have 9 signatures in just one petition sheet. So to the extent that this is what it looks like, guys. If you can even see it in this bright sunny day.
It's pretty sunny.
It's not very threatening. So we have the 100-word summary at the top, and the back of this, plus the additional sheet that I'm not holding in my hand right now, is the actual amendment. It's showing exactly what we're taking out of the Constitution and what we're replacing it with. And so if you could just commit to 9 signatures, and there's a training video on our website. It's 14 minutes long.
I even passed it, okay? So you guys can too?
You could just go on there, watch the training video by yourself. There's an online form. It takes you 2 minutes or less to fill that out, just so we know that we need, to check on you to make sure you're getting what you need, your answers.
Yeah.
But you don't even have to wait for us. You do those 2 things. You find the nearest person, captain in your area, and looking under the captains tab of our website. They can get you hooked up with 1 sheet or 10 or 300, and every single signature counts. So even if you only ended up giving us 2 signatures, that would be great. So please don't feel like you are not empowered to help with this. You truly are.
You truly are, and all of us appreciate it. And even people that aren't going to get out and do anything, they still appreciate you guys too. So.
Yep.
All right, well, it's been fun hanging out here in Flint, Michigan, and you have to finish driving across the state, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Yep, absolutely.
All right, well, I appreciate it, Catherine.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, guys, I'll read the rest of the comments later, and if there's something else that comes up, I'll try to answer it for you. Oh, one more thing, like and share, yes. Please share this, guys.
And I am my own Facebook page, Katherine Henry. If you find me, then a picture of me holding my daughter on my hip. I post a lot of things on there, but we also have Restore Freedom Facebook page, which is if you're in Facebook, you could hit the @ symbol, Restore Freedom MI.
Yep.
It'll take you right to our page. We have a lot of different information on there as well. But restorefreedommi.com, and please, share it on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on TikTok, on Instagram, Snapchat. Share it far and wide so people know what we're doing. Absolutely.
Yep, and then I'm friends with her on Facebook, so if you go to my Facebook, you'll see Katherine Henry and her picture's on there. You'll probably recognize it. All right, guys, I will talk to you very soon. Thanks for watching, and have a good one. God bless and be safe. Yes, you too.